Hi, I'm Alexander for amateurmedia.net, and today we're going to create this animation here using Cinema 4D and After Effects. What we have in this animation, let's see. The first thing, we have this landscape here, we have environment in the back, and we have some type. Also we have a depth of field effect, which you can see here. The front media is on focus and here is not. So let's get started. Let's go to Cinema 4D and create our landscape. So go to this icon here and select landscape. Now what we have in the landscape, let's first scale it up. Hit T for scaling, use scroll to zoom out, and drag to scale it up. Let's see how big it is. Maybe even more. Something like 5,000. It's okay. Let's see how it looks. Let's make quick render. Control R, or use this button here. Let's make some adjustments of the landscape. First, let's adjust the sea level. Maybe you cannot see here, but let's uncheck. Move it in something like that. Now we have this contrast here with these sharp forms and this flat shape here. I think this looks fine. Let's leave it like that. And now let's create our type. Choose MoGraph, text object, in the text field, type 1. Let's see where we are. Let's choose a font. I'll choose this one, Futura. Use a bold. Let's rotate the view using these controls here, or you can use it a shortcut, which is 1 on the keypad, holding 1 and dragging with mouse. You can see with pan, holding 2 with zoom, and the 3 we rotate. So let's rotate like that to see the one in front of us. Let's scale it up, hit T, and also zoom out, select the landscape, hit R for rotation, and rotate it, something like that. Maybe like this. So select the text object, put it in the back, somewhere around here. Let's see, let's scale it up a bit. Also go to the object, align, choose middle. Maybe something like this. Maybe it's too big, we can scale it down. Go back to the text object, in the depth, make it 50. Maybe we can make it more, 70. That's look okay. And now in the caps, I'm gonna choose fillet caps in the front and the back, and we're gonna choose this type. So now if we render, Control R, see what we have. Now let's make some mesh of the text. Go to the caps and select these options and use regular grid type, something like 20. That look okay. And in the object tab, choose subdivided. Select the same angle, 20, and make some subdivision if we need it, something like that. And now we can use this object here, which is the HyperNURBS. Holding down Alt, Control, click, or you can just click and then make the text the child of the hyperNURBS. Now if you render, you see we have much smooth shape here in the bevels. The next thing is to modify our landscape. Let's first make more segments, something like 300 by 300, and hit C, which converted it to editable object, or Ctrl Z and use this icon here, which do the same. Now let's modify the landscape. Select this button here, which is the polygon mode. Use selection tool. Let's zoom here and select some polygons, something like that. Use soft selection, expand the radius and push above, maybe in the front. Now we can select a different area. Let's select this one. Do the same. Drag. Maybe we can use this mesh here. Also this one. Try to make it like the one is growing out of this landscape here. Let's render it out. You can tweak it to make it better. We leave it like this for now. Let's do the same with the type. Select the hyperNURBS. Let's lower the subdivision. Hit C to make it editable. Control click to open the all objects and childs. And now grab all those, unselect the landscape, right click, connect plus delete. Let's call this one. And now we can use the same technique to modify the type. Select the polygon mode, selection tool, and select some parts, selection tool, and start to modify. You have to make more modifications here in the bottom to look like it's growing out of these rocks here. And in the top, you can leave it like that. Let's leave it like that for now. And make some render settings. Go to this button here, which is render settings. For output, type something like 1280, 480. And you see the frame here, which represent our view, the render view. Now let's make some materials for our rock. Go to the material tab, file, new material, double click on the material. In the color channel, we're gonna load image. Let's see, where is it? I'm gonna use this image. Let me show you what it looks like. It is a rock texture. You can find it in the Google search. Of course, you can use something different. Using that on the color channel, let's modify the specular. Let's call it this and put it on the landscape. Now if you render, see what happened. I think it's a little too big, but first let's enlarge our landscape. Select the landscape, select the vertex mode, go to selection tool, go to selection, ring selection, try to get this last here, holding now shift select the other one, fourth one, scroll wheel to zoom out, hit T, scaling. Now we are in the soft selection, so let's make it normal selection, hit T again, and scale it up. So now when we render, you see what problem does it make. Let's clear this out, select the material tag. In the projection, use cubic. That should work. Hit render again. And now we see that the map is too small. We can see here it's repeating. The next thing we need to do is select the material tag and type 0.3, maybe 0.3, and render again. Does look better. Let's also check this seamless. Hit render again. Let's leave it on 0.3. This depends on the texture you're using. Let's duplicate this material, control drag, and call this material 1. We're gonna use more specular for that. And also we're gonna copy this channel, copy the cover channel, go to the boom channel, and paste it here. Also we're gonna do the same for the landscape. Go to the cover, copy channel, go to the boom, paste channel. And now put this texture here. Let's delete these tags here, we don't need them. And use the same mapping, cubic. And let's render out. Let's also make it seamless. And now let's make some lights. Select light, raise it up, and for that we're gonna use it like a sun. So let's get to the fourth view, position the lights something like that. Let's see what we have. Let's render it out. That's look alright. So let's enable the shadows. The shadows, shadow map soft. Control drag to duplicate this light. Let's call this light back. Let's see, where is it? Let's take it back. And also put it down here. Let's make some cover like a blue cover. In the general tab, make it something like 40% for intensity. And let's go to the first light. Select the cover for something warm like this orange here. Maybe it's too much orange. Something like that. Let's render out to see what we have. Let's create our sky. For the sky I'm going to use a sphere. Select the sphere, scale it up something like 3000, something like this, and I make a new material, file new material, and in the cover channel we're gonna load HDR, load image, I'm gonna use this one. You can use whatever you have. Open up, turn off the specular, and put it on the sphere. Also, I don't need this building here, so I'll offset it in the X, something like that. Let's make our camera to see better what we're doing. Select the camera. Check out this switch here to view through camera. In the coordinates, let's zero that. Zero Y position. Maybe not. Let's move it up. The rotation, make it 0 also. Let's frame it here. Now let's make a target for this camera. The target will be this one here. So we're gonna insert a null object. Go to the for view. Let's see, where is it? So grab our null object, drag it in the position to the 1. Something like that. Maybe rise it up a bit. And now go to the camera, right click, Cinema 4D tags, target. Select the target tag and drag the null to the target object. Now if we go to the perspective view, let's call this target, and let's push it down a bit. Now we have targeting this null object, which is in the same position with the 1. So when we rotate the camera, it rotates around this null object here. Let's select our sky, which is sphere, so let's call it sky. Also uncheck the camera view for now, and move the sky closer to our landscape. Select the camera view again, Control R to render to see where we are. I need to see more of these details here, so let's first grab our target, fix it in position, something like that. Grab our sky, pull it up in the texture tag. Let's offset it. Also move it up, Control R. Yeah, it does look better. Let's see in the back. Let's put our additional text, MoGraph, text object, the text object. Let's type something, select the font, middle align. Let's go to the for view to position it. Here's some around here in the front. Let's switch off the camera view. For the caps, use the same caps, fillet caps, same type. And the object, make the extrusion something like 40. Let's select our sky and make it 4000 to have more space in the back, maybe 5000. Yeah, that's look alright. Select the camera, switch off the camera view, and pull back. Use MoGraph, text object, Go to the coordinates. Let's position it something like that. Let's take off the camera switch and type the second text. Choose the same depth for the caps, the same caps. Let's duplicate our texture, which is for the one. Control drag, duplicate it, click it twice, and call it text. And for this one, we're gonna, in the color channel, in the texture, we're gonna use a filter. Go to the filter and bring up the contrast a bit, also the brightness, and drag it to this type here. Control drag to the second type. Use seamless cubic projection, the same cubic. Now if you switch to the camera view, let's rotate it like that. Let's pull off this on the side, maybe even more. The coordinates, let's position it somewhere around here. Yeah, that's look okay. Now if you render, you have to position it down. Hit render again. Maybe we can make a little bit brighter. Go to the filter back, the brightness, bring it up. Now if you render, it's much better. The next thing we need to do is select our text object, go to MoGraph, random effector, in parameters, let's 0 the X position, 0 the Y position, and let's leave the X position like that, maybe something like 17. Check rotation, the heading, something like that. Also select the second text, go to letters and drag this effector here, which is the same. Now if you render, now we see we have a little bit variation in the position of the text, which make it more organic. Let's make some adjustment of the sky. Select the sky, select the sky material, double click. In the color channel, we're going to insert the filter, go to filter, let's take off the brightness, make some contrast, also the brightness down, maybe something like that. Now if you render, that's much better. Now let's animate the camera. Select the camera, go to the final frame of the composition and zoom a bit, holding 1 on the keypad and drag with the mouse, also scrolling with the wheel to zoom in. Let's say the first frame is somewhere around here. Click this button to make a keyframe of the position for the camera. Go to the end of the composition and let's see. Let's make it somewhere around here. Also you can adjust the target like that. Select the camera, and if you like this position here, you can again click this button, and now if you go to the first frame and hit play, you see the audio animation. If you don't like something in the animation, you can go to the timeline, on window timeline, and you can adjust it. Let's see what we have in the position. Let's make it quick in the beginning and slows down on the end. So we're gonna use this curve here. By default is S curve. So we need to adjust this. Also for rotation, we're going to use the same curve. Like that. The banking is nothing happened. So now if you hit play, let's see what we have. I think we made it pretty good. I think that's look okay. We have a nice movement here between the letters, which is cool. Now having that, let's make some render settings for outputting for After Effects. Click this button, render settings, output. Use this size for the save. We're gonna choose a path to save, choose a name. I've already saved it, so let's say choose name 01. I'm gonna choose a QuickTime movie. For the project file, I'm gonna choose After Effects. Also include the 3D data. I don't think we're gonna use it, but if we need in the project, we can use it. So export that 3D data. Also, let's check the anti-aliasing. Go to best. And now let's go back to the project and make some object buffers, like the background, the sky object. Right click, Cinema 4D tag, compositing. In the object buffer, use object buffer 1. Also, it's good to uncheck in the tag tab receive shadow. So if this one is dropping shadow on the back of the sphere, will not look so right. So uncheck this one, receive shadows, and choosing object buffer 1, we're gonna insulate the background from the foreground in the composition in After Effects. So let's go back to the render settings. Select multipass. In the multipass menu, select object buffer 1, which is the sphere here. In the Save tab, here is our multipass. I'm gonna use QuickTime movie. I'm gonna save it 01. Let's go back to the project again. In the camera settings, in the depth settings, make sure that use target object is checked. Go to the render settings again. Go in the multipass menu. You don't see it here, so let's multipass. Okay, you don't see it, but it's down there. Depth, which is the depth of field effect. Now, if you go back to the save, it will save also the depth of field, a QuickTime movie. Go back to the output and use all frames. And you are ready for render. Go to the render to picture view, and it starts to render. Something that I forgot is to go to the render settings, and in the effects, enable depth of field. If you are not rendered this, you can render with this depth of field effect. Now go again to the render to picture view, replace the files, and render it out. I already rendered it, so I'm gonna use this previous render which I made. I have the AAC file, which is After Effects project. I have all the movies. One is the main movie, the other one is the depth of field movie, and the third one is object buffer, which is our background, the sky object. So select the After Effects project, double click, and it's open in After Effects. In the project panel, there's two folders. One is with the composition. When we open it, we see all the 3D data which we include. Let's hide them for now. Hit F4. Turn off the shy switch. And for the composition. And now we have only the movie. When you scrub it, you see it. The next thing is to insulate the background from the foreground. So select in the spatial passes, select object buffer 1, drag it in front of this main movie, hit F4, and track mapping, select Luma Matte movie Nova 3 object. Now we have only the back insulate. Let's bring the main movie, and we have the front. Here is the back, here is the front. With having that, let's make some adjustment of the sky. Select the sky, let's call it sky. Go to the effects and presets and type curves. Select the curves effect. Now we're gonna make a S curve to bring up some contrast. Also make it more dark, like that. Now let's pre-compose all those layers. Ctrl-Shift-C to pre-compose it. Call this movie. Now let's go back to the project tab and select our depth movie. Drag it in front. Let's also pre-compose it. Now what you see is a Luma matte of the depth, where is black is on focus and where is white is unfocused. So let's pre-compose it. Ctrl-Shift-C, or use layers, pre-compose. Let's call this depth. Double click on depth. And now we're gonna make some adjustment like fast blur. Drag the fast blur on the layer. Type something like 10, maybe should be alright. Hit repeat H pixels and back to the main composition. Switch the A ball. We don't need to see it. We're gonna use it only like a map. So select the movie and type lens blur. Select the lens blur, check repeat H pixels. And for the depth map layer, we're gonna use depth layer. You see what happened? Everything that is white is unfocused and everything what is black is on focus. Let's zoom to see it better. You see the one is fully on focus, and here the front text is unfocused. Of course you can manipulate this from here. Blur focal distance. Let's scrub it. Let's see. We have the front text fully in focus and the back and the second text on focus. So you can animate this to get the effect to focus the front and the back object. So let's animate it. Here in the beginning, let's type 0, click to make keyframe, hit U to see the keyframe, and let's here make another one keyframe, move forward, and let's get focus on this text here. 180 is okay. Let's move forward and let's get focus on this text here. Make a keyframe, move forward, make another one keyframe, like scrubbing this here. Now the front type is fully in focus. Maybe for 1 second, make a keyframe and bring up the focus on 1. See here, I make, in the original version, I make a little bit of a movement of the sky by animate the heading just a little bit. So now if we make a RAM preview, we can see how it looks like. The last thing I need to do is to make a new adjustment layer, call it color correction, and use curves effect. Let's bring up the contrast, something like that. Maybe, let's see, in the red channel, we can boost it up a bit, and that's look okay. So this is it. Also, you can, if you have the plugin Real Smart Motion Blur, you can simulate the motion blur, make new adjustment layer, call this Real Smart Motion Blur. Drag it on the layer, and now if you scrub, you can see here motion blur. Also you can make the amount 1, say 100, and you have more motion blur. So this is it. I'm Alexander for amateurmedia.net. Bye, and I hope you see you in the next tutorial.